As an exercise, let us take some code that we've written before that reads a FASTA file and parses the contents and prints out the accession code of a protein, and the name of it, the sequence, and the number of residues. So if you remember, the output of this code is something like that, obviously according to the contents of the FASTA file. And let us change this code so that the part that reads and processes the file is actually contained inside the function. So what you want to do is define a function called readFasta that takes as a parameter the name of the file, and that maybe returns a dictionary, and the dictionary should have a key code corresponding to the code of the protein, a key name corresponding to the name of the protein, and a key sequence corresponding to the sequence of the protein. So I invite you to pause this video now and to have a go at that. Now I hope that you've tried doing this yourself, but if you've got stuck, then here is how we can go about it. First of all, we can create a header for our function, and that would be something like readFasta, and that function should probably take the file name as a parameter. And we can even add a little comment line saying reads a FASTA file and returns protein data as a dictionary. And now essentially we will arrange this part of the code later on, but all the part of the code that reads the file should go inside the function, and probably some part of the processing of the header should also go inside the function, and then we should return something at a certain point, and we'll finalize this in a moment. But then somewhere here we should be calling that function. So for instance, we should have something like protein data equals readFasta and the name of the file that we actually want to read. So take it away from here, input it there. Now I invite you, if you haven't progressed further on this point, to stop the video now and try to modify this code so that instead of reading this file, it actually uses this parameter, and that it actually returns a dictionary with all the protein data inside. Then what you will need to do is modify this part of the code to print the content of that dictionary. So pause this video now and try to see if you can progress from this point. Probably if you've tried, you've come up with something like this. So the name of the file is going to be passed to the function as a parameter, so that will go inside the open instruction, and we'll open that file, and then we'll read its contents. At this point we have to build the dictionary that we want to return to the caller. So that dictionary should be something like that. Let's call it data equals, and you should have a field, so a key for the name of the protein, which will contain the name that we found. Then we should have another field for the accession code, which again will contain the code. And then we would have a field called sequence, or maybe seq for brevity, that will contain the protein sequence. Now this dictionary is what we want to return to the user. You may wonder about the order of the keys here. Remind you that actually dictionaries are not ordered, so it doesn't matter in which order you enter these keys. Now, when you are at this point what I would suggest that you do is, so that we test this code, to, I would say, try printing this data. This actually it's called pdata. We assign the value returned by the function to a variable called pdata here in the main program, and when we print that, this is a dictionary. And actually this output that you see here is just comes from, let's say, the variables that were stored inside the kernel. If you are on a fresh kernel, you wouldn't see any of this output. So if I now restart my kernel and start and I run this code again, you will see that code is no longer defined outside the function, and so you will get an error. This is what you should be seeing if you run this program and you are on a fresh kernel. Now, what you need to do is actually to modify this code so that it accesses the information that's stored in the pdata dictionary that's been returned by the function. And again, I invite you to stop the video, study the code, and try to do this bit for yourself. If you've tried that, you might have come up with something like this. So our dictionary is called pdata. So we want to print the code field of pdata, and then we want to print the name key of pdata, and then we want to print the sequence key of pdata. And then we don't have a key in our dictionary for the length of the protein, but we can easily retrieve that by looking at the length of the seq field. So maybe this quantity does not need to be returned by the function. It can be computed directly in the main program if the main program needs it. So this works, except that I have probably written something wrong again. Yeah, that's pdata, not pdate. And there we are. We still have this print pdata that we were using for debugging, so we can remove it now. And there we get the same result that we had with the original code. So this concludes our guided exercise.